This week on the OneCast, we're joined by Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Logan Parks. We're going to talk about his first year in the Elites and his Nitro Nsane Tournament.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's going to be a bad day.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the OneCast. We have
off the mic.
An awesome guest lined up for you guys this evening. But before we do that, we need to jump into those who support us the most. And that means heading on over to OneCastFishing.com and use the code TheOneCast at checkout. Save some money. You guys get those snagless jigs, weedless neds, all the merch that Ben has on there, to include the podcast merch and the Nighthawks. The soft plastic lineup is great, but you got to get yourself some of those Nighthawks. I'll tell you what, if the fish are eating brim, you want those Nighthawks. I'll tell you that right now. So
sold out.
They're all sold out?
Yeah.
No way. They're not sold out.
They are not sold out of green pumpkin.
No, they're not.
OneCastFishing.com. Use the code TheOneCast. Save some dollar bills. Where else do they need to go?
Go ahead, Ben.
All right, I'll take it. At the same time, make sure you go on your phones, you go in your app store, your playlist, download the Deep Dive app. If you've been listening to the show, we've been plugging them for a while, but we've been using that application for even longer than that, because it's got a lot of great information in that helps you plan your fishing, make adjustments for when you're on the water. We've talked about the water clarity feature. We've talked about the wave feature. I do want to mention they updated their model with the wave feature. It now has a wave model, so it shows you the waves, the wind impact on the water across the entire lake instead of just on the bank. So it can help you, determine the situations when you want to get out in the big water, or you can scroll forward in time or back in time to help identify, those locations they may be, those bass may be hiding from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great app. We've been using it a bunch. Ben, I wasn't here yesterday, so somebody sat in my spot, so my mic's all goofy.
Yeah, that was me.
But yeah, make sure you check them out, Deep Dive. When you're done there, you can head over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast at checkout, all one word, to save some money. Grab your UPF gear, your gloves, your hoodies. Hoodie season is here. It's finally cold in North Carolina, so we're excited about that. Getting ready to go sit in the deer woods and put the boat away for a little bit. But yeah, CarolinaWatersNC.com, code TheOneCast, check out, all one word. When you're done there, you can use the link in the description to head over to Hobie Eyewear. Check out Hobie Eyewear. If you don't want to save money, you can go to HobieEyewear.com and pay full price, but I don't know why you want to do that when we can save you some coin. So use the link in the description, save 15% off. They're running right now. They're running their Black Friday deal. And I don't have it pulled up in front of me, so I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it's an even better deal. And
I think it's like 30%.
It's like 30% off one pair, an additional 15 if you buy another. So it works out really well. So if you're looking for gifts, stocking stuffers, make sure you head over there. Still use our link. Their new discount will supersede ours because it's better, but it still credits us, and that helps us with the algorithm and all that. So make sure you head over there and check them out. And finalizing another partner, so once I get that done, we'll start talking about them. So excited to bring on some new partners here, and excited to have Logan join us. Before we bring him on, anybody have anything?
No, I think we covered it already. There's not a whole lot in the bass fishing world. I think there's a couple like big hip pocket tournaments coming up and stuff like that, but man, it's deer season. I'm ready to get out in the woods. I'm ready to throw that buck stopper shirt on from Carolina Waters and maybe knock one of those giant, like 200-inch, we don't have those 200-inch deer down here.
200 inches total from head to tail.
Yeah,
that's not antler.
We got those North Carolina deer, but Logan's got those Auburn, Alabama deer down there, so I don't know how those ones grow, but we're going to get his perspective. And we always talk on this show, like our motto is to grow that culture of anglers helping anglers. That's exactly what Logan Parks has done through this really great initiative that he's running. So let's bring him on to run through that first season of his Elite Series tour and then jump really into that culture that he's building.
Yeah.
Logan Parks, all the way from Auburn, Alabama. Thanks for joining us here at the OneCast, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to officially meet you guys and be part of the show. I'm excited.
Yeah. I know you've heard a ton about us, a lot of leather-bound books, things like that. No, I'm just kidding. It's cool how this industry is and how this community is, because you talk to somebody who knows somebody, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you should hit him up and see what this deal is all about. And I'll tell you what, like, I'm sure you've seen it on your side of the house, but in the podcast world, it's opened up a lot of doors for us to meet really great people. So we appreciate you taking the time. You got to, we introduced ourselves a little bit earlier, man, but for those listening, Logan Parks, your first season on the Bassmaster Elite Series is concluded. You had a heck of a year. All of you guys came in there and dominated. You want to run through your first year on the Elite Series and kind of give your perspective on like the things that you loved and the things that kind of took you by surprise?
Yeah, dude. Like you said, I feel like it was a great season. First year on the Elite Series, rookie season, finished 21st in the points, and I actually finished 8th place in Rookie of the Year. So it's a good season looking at the Angler of the Year points, but a bad season looking at the Rookie of the Year points. Because my peers, I guess you would call them, they're unbelievably good, super talented group of guys that came in last year and made the Bassmaster Classic, qualified for my first Classic, the entire top 40 out of, I think, 105 anglers that we had qualified. So that was kind of the goal. Besides Rookie of the Year was making the Classic, so we at least accomplished that. And, man, it was just a whirlwind. It was a roller coaster of a season. I had 2 really, really good tournaments to start out with. Finished 21st and then 20th, or I think it was 20th and then 21st in the first 2. And really, really was excited, fired up, and maybe got a little bit, I wouldn't say like cocky, but maybe kind of was like, oh, yeah, this Elite Series thing ain't so bad. And I really got humbled in the next 2 in the Florida swing. We went down to the Harris Chain, where I finished 72nd, and then St. John's River, which unfortunately we have to go back to next year. And I finished 103rd out of 104 total anglers. So I finished second to last in the tournament, and that was just terrible.
Let me ask you that we've all been there, right? Every single person that's tournament fish has gotten their teeth kicked in and understands. But do you feel like you learned a lot in that tournament, despite finishing, where you did? But do you feel like when you have those bad derbies, you tend to learn more than when you're kind of riding that high and you're really smacking them on the head and putting good bags together?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned that playing it safe, it's just not the move. And I felt like I could go to Rodman Reservoir and lock up to that place and catch me, anywhere between 10 to 12 pounds a day, get a check. And that was probably the only tournament of the year that I actually fished for a check. And you can see how that worked out.
Yeah, I think it was the only tournament of the year you didn't cash a check, right?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one we definitely did not cash a check. I got a little baby check for my 72nd place at the Harris Chain, but yeah, that's not the move, and it was tricky because we had the weather delay at the Harris Chain and it pushed the tournament back. So we had 2 days of practice on this massive body of water, which is the St. John's River. There's, all the different big lakes you can go to and just the vast river sections. And I did actually go down there and pre-practice. That obviously didn't help very much. But I think I learned what probably not to do going back. You kind of have to just man up and go do something. If it's not working or you're not confident that you're around the fish that you can win with, you got to find something that you're more confident in. And because to tell you the truth, you can be on a fish that you think could win the tournament and it ends up being the fish to get you a check. Those guys are just really that good. So you cannot rely on check fish. I don't think you gotta go balls to the wall. And that's kind of what we did the rest of the season. Moving on from there, kind of just got the momentum back, started cutting checks again. We had finally the next tournament, Lake Murray, was a big one. I got to get back on track because I went from, I think, 11th place in Angler of the Year after the first 2 to 70th or something after the next few. And I went from the highest of highs almost to the lowest of lows, blew my chance at Angler of the Year, blew my chance at Rookie of the Year. And now I'm thinking I just have to make the Classic. I got to get back on track. So Murray was a big one. I'm I need to cut a check here. We did that, accomplished that goal. Then the next one was on, one of my favorite lakes in the home state of Alabama, Wheeler Lake, where I got a top 10, cut another check at Smith, went to Champlain, cut another check. And then the last one, the St. Lawrence River, was really where I utilized that knowledge from the St. John's, where it's like, I'm sitting good for the Classic, but I could fall out of it if I have like an 80th or a 90th place finish. I just kind of need to top 70. So I could fish around the river and, probably top 70 and get into Classic, where I could send it to the lake and try to fish for a top 10, try to fish to win the tournament. And I did. I went 140 miles out into Lake Ontario 2 days in a row, got into the top 50. And honestly, I was really on some good fish. I think I had the bites to probably be in the top 10, but just didn't go my way. But ended up 17th in that event and had a super strong second half of the season and recovered. So
anybody that runs 140 miles up there is definitely going to balls to the wall, especially the waves that you see the Johnston brothers. We saw Maddie last year fish up in like 8 footers. You couldn't even see him and stuff because Matty Wong, his season was on the line, or his next season was on his career. Yeah. On the elites was on the line. So yeah, dude, I mean, you definitely fully just send it. That's what you did. I did want to ask you, I mean, phenomenal year. All of us sitting here are peanut butter and jealous of that because that was stellar. When it comes to you fish the 9 opens, are you rolling with the same crew that you were with in the opens that you're rolling with on the elites now?
It's a similar crew for sure. I've roomed with John Garrett when I fished the opens, and we roomed together again this year on the Elite Series. Going to room together next year. He's become one of my good buddies, one of my best friends, and we have like I would say a great working relationship where we have a good trust system. We work together, kind of figuring out these bodies of water. And then Rob G actually was another buddy of ours that all of us that we roomed together, we fished against each other in college. Me, John, Cody Huff, and Rob G. Rob fished for Tennessee. John and Cody were roommates at Bethel University, and I fished for Auburn University. So Rob fished the opens last year, qualified with us last year. So he was in our rookie class as well. And we just kind of knew him. Him and John were a little closer. So we invited Rob to room with us. And then, I didn't really know Cody that well, besides that he's like the OG live scope guy. He made live scope famous. He won the first tournaments with live scope, and he's one of the best fishermen in the country. So I'm like, of course I want to room with Cody. He's kind of like our veteran. He'd been on the Elite Series for 2 seasons, so last third year, and he kind of knew the ropes. So we had 3 new guys and one, guy that kind of been around the block. So it worked out really well. Obviously rooming with guys you don't really know, like Cody and Rob, requires a lot of trust. But, I gave that to them and felt like it was reciprocated. And, we all ended up, 21st was the worst place in Angler of the Year out of the entire house, with John and Cody being in the top 10 and Rob being like 12th or 13th. It was a really, really solid season for the entire house. And, every time one guy did well, we kind of all did usually.
For sure, dude. We've talked to John Cruz and I don't know how many other guys, that trust is that it's got to be earned, and you got to know when to draw the line on giving somebody too much information and feeling them out, like almost like giving them guidance on how to be a house together. So that's pretty important. Do you guys talk a lot of smack in the house?
There's definitely smack talked. I wouldn't say a lot. I would say that the biggest beef that we have in the house is actually with my camera guy, Jack, and Rob G. They are always going at each other, at each other's throats. Jack will give him stuff about fishing, and he'll give him Jack stuff about using the camera and filming. And they usually end up both passing out on the couch together watching some dumb thing on YouTube. They have such a funny relationship.
Like a 1999 version of like South Park, and they're passed out just watching it together. Like, Rob's like, let me get behind that camera. You just jump in the boat since you're such a good angler. You know what I mean? No, that's awesome, man. Like being a part of a house, I don't care where you're at. Like trusting the people that you're with and working together. Like that's what the Elite Series and a lot of these big pro tours have become, right? Like it's so dominated. Like, could you imagine rolling by yourself for a whole season?
Dude, I couldn't. I know like a few guys do. I think like Jordan Lee went last year all by himself, but I mean, he's Jordan Lee. He doesn't need any help.
Yeah.
but it takes truly a one-of-a-kind angler, I feel like, to just solo it and really perform.
Jordan Lee signed one of your Abu Garcia rods for you? For real?
Back in the day, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, I mean, and we'll get into the Nitro tournament here in a minute, but rolling up on that first day, like, you're fishing against some giants in the industry. Like, how did that feel, that first day on the water?
Dude, the first day, I was so stressed out that, like, I didn't really have time to appreciate and enjoy the moment. Because I got to the boat ramp, I would say 40 minutes before, blast off, 45 minutes. And, like, there's only 100 of us, and it was the 4-lane or 5, whatever Toledo Bend is. It's a big ramp. But it was moving so slow. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, these guys need to hurry up. And I'm like, I'm going to be late for my first blast off, oh my gosh. And I finally get put in, and then I'm like fumbling around with a GoPro, and I put my rain suit on. Then I remember I need to put my chest mount on. I'm like, I can't not, I had a Marshall, so my camera guy couldn't ride with me. And we didn't find a camera boat for day one of the tournament. So I'm like, this is my first day of the first ever Elite Series tournament. I'll never have another one of these moments. I have to get this on camera. And so I'm trying to get my GoPro stuff on. I finally get all that situated, sit down, put my life jacket on, crank my motor, and they call my boat number. So I didn't have time to, like, sit around and be like, oh, there's Rick Clun, there's Mike Nelly. Like, I was just, like, freaking out in a hurry.
But you were freaking about other things, but you couldn't get in your head. You didn't have any time to think about all the guys you're competing against. You just had to go and
probably better that way.
Yeah, I mean,
might be better that way, instead of like getting freaked out, like you're just as tight as a balloon knot. You don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right, so just blast off, just go. Did you do anything silly this first season, like leave your trolling motor down and try to like gun it, or have your power poles down or whatever and try to gun it? Like, do you have anything funny happen? You're like, dude, I've been fishing for a long time. I can't believe I forgot that.
No, I wouldn't.
No?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I did like that. No.
Oh man, it happens to us all the time.
Collected. So I'm usually pretty.
Yeah, that's me.
As long as I'm not in a rush, I'm good to go.
Yeah, Pete said that's me. I would beg to dip.
Come on, man. I'm always.
Hey, it seems like every half dozen trips I forget to lift the trolling motor up and I start to take off.
Yeah, it's definitely
Trey reminds me.
Oh yeah, it definitely.
Like, I think one time I forgot to take the motor toters off.
Oh yeah.
I have those two sticks that are kind of in between the motor. So I try to trim my motor down, and I crank up, and it's like blowing water out of the air. And then I realized that I had those in still. So I
forgot to take my steer stops off one time. Yeah, it's like they dumped me in, and I'm like,
yeah.
While those red things are sticking up, I'm like, yeah, it'll probably do it. Right,
you got like Gerald Swindle over there looking at him and like, rookie. No, that's awesome, dude. So. Moving on to the 2025 season, and you can just give your quick thoughts on it. There's some changes and stuff. Are you cool with all the changes that are coming down the pipe for BASS?
Yeah, dude. I think that the no entry fee thing is a step in the right direction. I really applaud Bassmaster on what they're doing, and there's a lot of people bashing it and all this and all that, and I think really and truly Bass is trying to do something super positive for the sport, and they're not doing it in a way that completely jeopardizes the business. Obviously, I don't think that they have the ability to just cut our entry fees and replace that with $4+ million of sponsorships. So I think there's going to be some back and forth, with the anglers. We've been talking about forming a group to, kind of help make decisions for the anglers, which I think is another really positive thing to come out of this. The anglers are actually, communicating and working on a group, and we're going to come up with some kind of payout structure that makes sense, that, the guys on the bottom aren't, just barely scraping by, but the guys at the top also have the ability to make, a significant amount of money. Because I think currently with the payout structure, it really only benefits, those guys that were paying $45,000. Now they're just not losing that $45,000, and it takes away from, the abilities for anglers to win a lot of money. I know it would have significantly impacted how much money I made this year if it was a new payout structure. So there's some work to be done to figure that out. But I think that overall it was a really positive, awesome thing that they're trying to do. And, with communicating with the anglers moving forward, I think we'll get it figured out.
I appreciate that perspective with the, making sure they protect the business, because that was my whole conversations that I had with guys in the elites, guys in the opens, buddies of mine. And it's like, hey, like, you can't honestly expect Bass to come up with $500,000 additional per tournament to make up for those entry fees, like right out of the gate. They've got to figure it out. It gives them leverage, I feel like, with some sponsors to say, hey, your money's going to go directly to the anglers versus going in our pockets. So I think there's some opportunities there for some different things, much to your point. But they couldn't jeopardize Bass, right? Like if they throw $4 million in there, I don't know what Bass's books look like. I'm sure they're okay, but I mean, $4 million for any company is a lot of money to invest in something and not know if it's going to work or not, and not have any of that money coming back. So I agree with what you're saying. I think it's a great move in the right direction. And I get why some guys are super upset about the payouts. I know that it's a big change, but I think everybody keeps forgetting about that risk to the business, and the business is putting it all on their shoulders now.
I think it also ties into what Logan was saying too, about he tried to fish for a check, right? Mm-hmm. And he did worse in that event. And we talked about it as a collective about, if you're only aiming for, and I hate to say it like this, but it is what it is. Like, if you're only trying to get mediocrity as your best, which being like a 50th, right, or whatever, does it now, not having the entry fees and the payouts being vastly different, do you think it's going to light a fire under a lot of guys to say, you know what, I got to get aggressive and just full send this entire season?
I think so, but I think it comes down to that. The payout still has to change. It cannot be what it is, because like I've been told by a few different people, like, you just have to top 15. You have to do that. And it's
that's it.
Look at the Angler of the Year, Chris Johnson. He had top 15s, I believe, out of 9 tournaments. Yeah. And he averaged like a 19th place finish. So if you top 15, you're probably going to set the record for Angler of the Year.
For sure.
It's not like that common of a thing. Yeah. So I think it needs to be more so like, if you do well, you get rewarded. And like just the top 50 is incredibly difficult amongst these guys. And with the the current structure, you'd have to essentially top 25 to make any significant amount of money. So we're working on something, whether it's a Calca like side pod or again, we're going to figure something out. I'm confident of it. And it's something that makes sense for all the anglers, because even if you don't fish for a check, you're fishing to win, but you get in that top 50 and you made that 10 grand. That was huge this year.
For sure.
I know I'm covering my expenses. I'm making a little bit of money and I get to go home with something. So I'd like to get back to where we have a situation like that. And, at least for me, that one tournament I fished for a check, but the rest of the time, I'm here to win. I think everybody else is too. So I think that maybe that the new payout structure causing people to fish more aggressively, I don't necessarily agree with that.
No. Well,
that's what Corey told us too. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are all competing at the highest level. You've done it for years. Even if this is your first year, but you've been fishing for years at high level tournaments and highly competitive. People want to win every time you go out. So I don't think it's going to change too many people. And we've heard stories time and time again, and pretty much every angler will tell us like, oh, I'm going to try to play it safe. I just trying to go cash or check, and it does not work out. Yeah. Usually it's like, okay, I'm going to try to go win this. My pattern's not working. Now I got to scramble around and fish even harder just to cut a check. Yeah. Right. Because, after day 2. So I don't think the mindset's going to change too much. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to the 2025 season. I think not all change is good, but, changing and adapting and things like that, like making the sport better, and not everyone's going to agree all the time, but just doing what you can to make it better is a great thing. So, you guys got anything else on 2024, 2025?
Yeah, I just want to ask, which event are you looking forward most to next year outside the Classic?
St. John's.
yeah, get some revenge down there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go down there and get some revenge. At least I know going into that tournament, I can't hardly possibly do any worse than I did last time. So it should be an improvement.
Well, are they even going to have 103 anglers this year?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. But
you're already going to do better.
I'm excited, man, to come to y'all's neck of the woods, fish the St. River, Elizabeth City, the Sound. I've actually got a buddy. Yeah, you guys cannot tell me anything.
I'm not telling you anything. Yeah, I love it there though.
It's gonna be sick. I've got a buddy that grew up there in Virginia, lives in Virginia Beach, and fishes the Sound a good bit. And we fished against him in college. He fished for Auburn. He's one of my teammates, and he just always talked about that place. And we're like, bro, like, you have are you just super excited about that place or what? Like, it's all you talk about. And he's like, I'm telling you, man, it's just an unbelievably, just healthy fishery. There's 9, 10, 12 pounders in there. And, I know you guys know a lot about it, but I think that it's going to be some big weights for that tournament.
I think you'll keep a smile on your face the whole time.
Where are they going there again?
I think
April 10th through 13th.
I don't believe in that old term of traditional fishing versus scoping. I just think that's inaccurate. But like, if it's a great place to relax. You're going to have a great time, dude. We're looking forward. And you'll love it over there. Yeah. That's close enough to us. So, we might have to, I'll definitely pop down and come visit y'all when you're down there or up there, I guess.
Yeah. I plan to go on the weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, looking forward to that one, huh? That'll be a good one.
30-pound bags. I think there might be some. Fork too. I had a great time at Fork last year. Yeah. And we're going a different time of year, going in May. But like, one of my favorite things to do is offshore fish. Throw a big crankbait, ledge fish, big swim baits, big spoons, like all that aggressive Tennessee River type stuff.
That's awesome.
What I've seen on Fork, you can do some of that and find some groups of fish offshore.
That's a
big deep dive and crankbaits. That's so much fun.
That's a bucket list lake for me for sure, is to go down to Fork, man. I love big flutter spoons, big plugs, stuff like that. So our intro music, by the way, that you heard at the beginning may or may not have been in or around the vicinity of where your next tournament's going to be in 2025 in North Carolina. So Giants. That's all I'll say. Giants.
Last question I have for next season. How excited are you for the Sabine River?
Oh, dude, my favorite tournament, hands down.
I am not too fired up for that. Hey,
thank you.
We'll probably set the attendance record, so that's exciting.
Yeah,
that's true. You can go down there and grind for 6 pounds a day,
dude. So okay. Honest question before we move on to the Nsane deal here. Does the size of the fish really matter to most people, or is it the competition behind it?
What do you mean? Like,
so like, guys say like Sabine sucks because you're seeing 6-8 pound bags there versus St. John's or whatever you got.
20, well, I don't think it's just like a 6 to 9 pound bag. It's like they catch 5 fish for 9 pounds, and that's the only 5 fish they catch all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Why does Sabine suck? Is it because of small fish or because of the location? Because of the time of year? Like what?
I think it's because of the amount of fish. Like you were saying, I think that you get 4 or 5 bites a day, and like you'd be lucky to get that. And it's just a brutal grinder tournament. I think it's scheduled in like, what is it, June or May?
It's in May.
You just got to look at whenever they have the big festival, and that's
why not knock that one out in like February, and like let's just get
it out of the way.
Like our Alabama swing this year, it was in June.
Oh, so I know.
Hot. So,
and you're from there.
Catching fish at Smith and Wheeler, we may not be catching anything and sweating at Sabine. So
yeah, might catch a flounder.
Like big fish and amounts of fish. And the lacking of both big fish and amounts of fish is like a double negative.
Yeah, I mean, my last thoughts on Sabine, these guys know it. It's absolutely one of my favorite ones to watch because somebody catches a kicker 4-pounder and it takes them from 50th all the way up to 10th or something like that. And I just think it's any person's game down there. Sure. And watching Christie a couple years ago do what he did in when he was running that Express, like that was it was absolutely insane. I just think it sucks. There's tiny fish. Don't get me wrong. There's tiny fish and not a lot of them, but it's anybody's game for sure.
Yeah,
I think that those grinder tournaments create some pretty sick storylines, and
for sure.
And like it's fun to watch. I don't think it'll be as fun to participate in, but
it's not fun to watch
the grinder tournaments.
I do not enjoy watching that grinder
tournament. No, I want to watch a tournament where a guy might come in with a 35, 38.
I want to watch a tournament where guys are breaking the rods because they can't figure it out. You know what I mean?
That's me every tournament. So one more thing before we go to Nsane. There was a report on Wire to Fish. I'm sure you saw it today about Alabama making some potential changes directly to tournament fishing. Did you see that one with the slot limit?
I've heard the rumors about that. The slot limit on the Coosa River.
On the Coosa River, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they got that idea from, but I hope that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, did it say it was going to happen, or they're just considering it?
I'm going
to look in real time.
So while you look it up to confirm,
go ahead.
I guess they've been studying this for a couple of years, and what they found out. I mean, most people don't keep bass. Recreational anglers don't keep bass anymore, but what they found, the major mortality is all from tournaments, and of course, tournaments will try to catch the healthier, bigger fish. That's what goes in the live well, and I guess that's hurting the population on the Coosa River. So it looks like a slot of 14 to 20 inches.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 14 to 20 inches, and none of those fish could go in a live well. So I think,
according to the document that's been leaked, and one of the guy that got the document is Tim Miller, who's the Classic Series director for the Fishers of Men Alabama Northeast. They are going to institute a 14 to 20 inch tournament only slot limit for all 6 lakes on the Coosa River.
Tournament only.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand is like you can still go out and fun fish and keep your daily limit.
Yeah,
the tournament guy can't keep them and then release them. Like that doesn't make
apparently
sense.
Had something to do with an Auburn University study on mortality rates on Neely Henry over the last 3 years.
What school did you go to?
Yeah, you gotta make some calls, man. You better call your alma mater up and say, "What's up, man?"
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw that, and it's kind of
at the fisheries department. We may have to cut some funding over there.
Yeah, I mean that one was pretty shocking when I saw it that it was a tournament. We have slot limits on lakes. Well, we did. They removed it on one of our local lakes because it was detrimental. But to see it was tournament only to me was kind of the question mark I had. And the best I could come up with is the fish dying in the tournament, or there's better class of fish and they're trying to protect them.
And I wonder what kind of tournaments that they're getting the big mortality from. Is it like big collegiate or touring level, or is it your Tuesday nighters where nobody knows how to fizz a fish or whatever?
And that's my other thing. Like what constitutes a tournament?
Right.
Because like here in North Carolina, if you have anything over 10 or 15 boats, you're supposed to get a permit.
That's right.
But if you go off your 7 buddies and just in at the end of the day just pull up, like that doesn't qualify as a tournament. That's so
we'll see. You guys fish the Coosa River in the Elite Series. You might be Lake Forking that type deal if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but if they did study Neely Henry, that might be part of the reason, because that place is kind of the worst place on the Coosa. All the other ones are fairly healthy, but I think everyone kind of complains about Neely Henry. So I don't know. That's a lot of there's a lot of different directions they could have gone with that one. I don't think that's necessarily.
I agree.
Time to make some phone calls, Logan. Neely Henry is the Sabine of the Coosa River.
That's right. You heard it here first.
So let's dude. So we talked about it at the beginning. We're all about like helping other anglers, man, whether or not it's inside the industry, working as vendors and making tackle or whatever, or fishing tournaments, whatever. But you got a really great program that you're running that we want to talk about, which if I slaughter this, correct me. It's the Nitro Nsane Tournament. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the Logan Parks Fishing Foundation Nsane Tournament. Okay. And Nsane actually, it's an acronym. It stands for National Student Angler Networking Events.
That's right.
This year, Nitro Boats was the title sponsor of the tournament, and Abu Garcia was the presenting sponsor. Abu also sponsored it last year. So super thankful for those two partners. But it's a really cool, awesome opportunity, man. It's something that I've thought about for a few years, and we actually had our first event last year, our second event this year, this past October. It went really, really well. Had 300 total anglers show up to compete. And to give you some backstory on it, I grew up, loving to fish, enjoying fishing, and started my high school fishing team with some friends when I was in the 8th grade. That's when I fished my first tournaments. And I was really lucky to have the opportunity to know some guys in Auburn. I grew up here. Our dads had buddies that fished, that had boats that would take us because we didn't have a boat. So they would captain us. And then we became friends with some of the Auburn University guys, and they started captaining us, taking us out, and really had that hands-on mentorship from some college anglers that really knew what was going on. Went pond fishing with Jordan Lee when I was in high school, and just really learned a lot from the older guys. And I realized there's probably a lot of anglers out there that want to fish at a high level, especially in college, but they don't know how to get there. They don't even know hardly, how to tie their bait on because their dad doesn't fish and no one in their family knows how to or can help them besides on YouTube. They don't have, someone to teach them. So I wanted to create an opportunity for anglers to get that mentorship chance like I had in high school, and to give that mentorship to a high school angler. So we brought together two completely separate groups, which is the high school fishing and the college fishing. Normally it's one or the other. And we made a combined tournament that brings college guys and high school guys together. The college angler will be like the boater and captains them in the tournament, and or not really captains them, but they kind of fish together as a team. So they get paired up and they fish together as a 2-person team. And it's an awesome way to learn, to give back, and also to recruit for those college schools. They have the opportunity to come into the tournament, seeing the list of the high school participants, and you don't really ever know, is it the high school kid, or is it his fishing partner, or does he have a really good boat captain everywhere he goes? It's kind of hard to determine based on the resume of just tournament performance if they're the real deal or not. And this tournament provides college guys and college coaches the opportunity to put their teams and their anglers in the boat with high school kids they're considering giving scholarships to truly find out what caliber and level of angler it is, and for those high school guys to show off that they can really catch them. So it's a really cool, unique thing that, no one was really doing. I saw an opportunity and jumped headfirst into it, and I'm super grateful and glad that I did, because, man, giving back is something that's just so much more rewarding than anything else in the sport.
I mean, that's awesome. That's one of the coolest programs, I've heard recently. It's a mentorship, where it's part mentorship and part combine, fishing combine for the high schoolers. That's outstanding. And I didn't even think of that about, the problem, the college anglers or folks who, scholarships for these college teams. How do you differentiate? Because there's a lot of factors involved with the high school anglers, like you just mentioned.
What's the form? So you talked about the boat captain or the collegiate angler is in the boat with a high schooler. How does that format work? I got to see it. I got to see it on some YouTube stuff, but can you break that down for us? Like what a tournament, it's a 1-day tournament, or is it 2-day, or how does it work?
Yeah. So last year we just had the pairing day, and they were, it was like a Saturday. They got paired up as teams, and then they fished the tournament Sunday. And some of the feedback we got from the post-event survey we sent out is, we got paired up with a kid we never met. We'd really like an opportunity to get to know them more and spend more time in the boat with them, to put together a game plan and a strategy and really learn more from the college angler. So we changed the format a little bit this year. We had 3 days of practice. The anglers actually submit fish. It's an all online tournament. So this could be on the Coosa, whether they change that rule or not, because it's catch bait photo release. So it's really cool. Fishing Chaos is the title sponsor of mine. They've supported me for the last 3 years, and they have a great tournament app and platform to host the event through. So we have this online tournament through Fishing Chaos, and practice is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. anglers are going out, catching fish, weighing them on their own scales, taking a photo of the fish on the scale, submitting them during practice. And this gives the high school kids the opportunity to like go out and catch as many as they can and really show that they should get picked, because we actually have a draft. That's how we pair our anglers. So Friday, all the anglers have to be off the water by noon, and they have a draft. We actually had this draft 2 years in a row inside Jordan Hare Football Stadium. So it's a really, really cool venue inside the football stadium. We put together a list of the high school anglers, provide some information like their favorite techniques, their hometown, and we rank them in order of their best day of practice. So it gives the college guys really an opportunity to look and see if they went out there, put in the work, and where they're from, what they like to do, things like that, their Instagram handle, so they can kind of check them out before the draft starts and figure out, get an idea of who they want to pick. And then one by one, we draw the college anglers, and they pick their high school fishing partner in a draft style format. That's how we pair the anglers up. And we also have inside the Auburn football locker room, we had a college recruiting session where I think we had 31 colleges at this event, and they all had their own table set up with trophies, banners, flyers, whatever information that they wanted to provide to the high school kids and their parents about their school. So all the high school anglers would walk through the locker room, which is just a really cool setting in general, and get to meet all the different college teams, find out more about their school, talk to those anglers, their coaches, and really kind of narrow down where they may want to take their college experience to. So we had the locker room recruiting session, then we had the draft. The tournament is on Sunday, so this is all on Friday. Saturday, we have a team practice day. This is the new thing that we added this year based on last year's feedback. So the anglers went out and fished until noon. They got to practice submitting fish through the Fishing Chaos app, submitting their catches if they hadn't done that in practice already, kind of familiarize themselves with the format of holding the fish on the scale. And we have some very specific requirements because you're trusting anglers to not do anything shady when they're weighing fish. There's a lot of room for, stuff to happen. So we have requirements like the scale has to be very visible, readable, see the weight on the front of the scale. And then we need to see the whole fish inside the frame of the photo. So the tail can't be like this out of the photo, because then you could be holding the tail. You could have a weight clipped on there. So we got to see air underneath the tail. So this is the opportunity for them to submit their photos, make sure they're getting approved, because we have judges that judge these fish to make sure that the fish submissions can be counted. So we had that team practice day till noon, gave them the opportunity to get to know their partner, put together a game plan for the tournament. They came off the water, went back to Auburn. We had a really nice dinner and some guest speakers, and it was just a really cool time. Gave some awesome giveaways away. Hummingbird stepped up and donated a bunch of stuff. We actually gave away 2 fish lungs, some awesome jerseys. Chris Lane actually came and spoke at the tournament, which was really, really cool. And Mercury even stepped up and had a service trailer there the whole time. So I know that the guys really took advantage of that. I think we fixed like a 1984 motor at the tournament. So
kidding.
He was definitely showing some stuff he hasn't seen or worked on in a while, which was awesome. But Joe, he did a great job getting everybody on the water and making sure they were able to fish. And then the tournament was on Sunday, and I'm going to try my best to explain the format because it's fairly complicated, but it's a every fish counts format. Every fish over 1 pound is added to their total, as long as it's a largemouth or a spotted bass. We don't have any smallmouth on Lake Martin. And we have 3 different rounds throughout the tournament. So the first round went from like 6:30 to 9:40, and everyone fished against each other, all 150 teams. At 9:40, we split into 2 separate groups. So we took the top 75 over here, the bottom 75 over here, and then it was essentially 2 separate tournaments. And if you were in that top 75, you were fishing to make the championship. You had to be the top 20 out of your top 75 to make the championship. And if you were in the bottom 75, we only took the top 5 from round 2 out of that group to the championship. So after that, I think that ran from like 10 to noon. We took the top 25 and the top 5 and combined them in the middle for a championship. And then the guys that didn't make the championship went to their respective brackets on the left and the right. And the championship group fished for all the big money the last 2 hours of the tournament. Well, we actually still awarded $4,000 and $3,000 to the first place of the other two groups. So at round 3, we essentially had 3 separate tournaments going on. And this whole time they've been able to see a live leaderboard, see where they're at. Their parents have been able to track them online through the Fishing Chaos app. We actually disabled this live leaderboard, so no one knows how they're doing. No one knows what their competition is doing, and it's just really exciting. They have to actually come back to Auburn for the trophy presentation to find out if they won the tournament or not.
Well, I mean,
That's sick.
Did BPT call you afterwards and was like, "Yo, give me some advice"? No, I'm not being critical of BPT. It just sounds like you got like a really streamlined process. I'm sure there was hiccups here and there potentially with technology, but I mean, at the end of the day, like that's a freaking awesome format.
Do you reset the weights after every round, or is it carry weight through the whole thing?
Yeah, so that's definitely something I left out. But
I was just
round 2, it carries over. So it's cool to see the strategies the guys they're smart, man. So like some guys, they just caught as much as they could in round 1. And that way in round 2, they made that top 75. They could just kind of catch a few and stay in the top 20 and get invited to the championship round. But then there was guys that purposefully only caught 1 or 2. So they would go to the bottom 75 in round 2.
And then
their
the top 5
carry over. From round 1 to round 2, the weights carried over. So then they start catching them, try to get in that top 5 to make the championship. So we've seen some guys do that. We've seen some guys try to do that and come up a little short. It's like maybe you should have just caught them the whole time. At the beginning of round 3, we reset the weights. So all 3 respective brackets, everyone starts at 0, and no one knows how they're doing throughout the 2 hours until they come back to Auburn to find out.
Dude, were the college recruiters drooling when you guys put that event together? Like, oh yeah, we got some young kids here. We're gonna recruit the crap out of them.
Dude, it honestly it was a little bit more difficult than I expected. Getting some of the college guys and college teams to come, and
really?
That was one thing that kind of surprised me because we put together what I think is truly an incredible payout. We paid out over 150% of the entry fees 2 years in a row. This year, I think we ended up paying out almost over $80,000 in just scholarship payouts and cash payouts to the anglers. We gave away my bass boat this year, which was
I saw that on YouTube.
And that was one thing too for me putting this event together. I had fished in high school and college and fished for a couple Bass Pro gift cards, and they're awesome. But when you're spending money, it costs just as much to go fish a high school tournament halfway across the country as it does to go fish an elite series.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The cost of fishing is still the same, no matter what level it's at. So, taking away the entry fee, obviously. So I wanted to create an event that made sense where people could come from far away. If they were in Michigan or if they were in, Arizona or wherever, they'd still see value in coming and getting their tournament fees back if they did well and their expenses back if they did well. We paid $1,000 all the way to 20th place. And if you could show me a college or a high school tournament that does that, I'd be all ears. I feel like
I don't think
they provide some great opportunities for the young guys, but there's also a lot of tournaments out there for high school and college guys that I think they make significant amounts of money off of them. So we wanted to give back to these anglers and truly give them the opportunity to fish for a life-changing amount of money. And a huge inspiration for this tournament for me was the Bass Pro U.S. Open that we won a few years ago. Me and my partner actually took home $1 million, and that was just an absurd payout. It was life-changing. And,
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what inspired me to do the event was that huge payout, that game-changing moment of winning that tournament, being able to fish. And so having these anglers fish, and not only are they there earning scholarships and showing their, like why they deserve to get those offers. They're also fishing for money that could help put them through school, or money that could help pay off their student loans, help them pay off the rest of their college, help them pay their entry fees next year in the opens, give them the opportunity to continue to pursue fishing and not give up on their dream because of lack of opportunity.
That's an incredible, you know, I know you're not doing it for this reason, but you know, these are the kinds of things that get you in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, right? It's not all the tournament finishes. It's not all the commercials and Wheaties boxes and stuff that you get put on. It's how do you give back to the community? Really, that's what the legacy that they're looking for. So we heard great things about the format, the tournament. I mean, shoot, there's probably guys that went there just to get the experience and didn't expect anything else, just to have that exposure and get to meet you and all the other guys there. So, I mean, that's incredible. Like, did you have any other like pros besides Chris and yourself? Did those guys come down and hang out?
Yeah, I actually had, Bobby Lane was there. His son fished the tournament, and he was helping Abby Garcia set up some tables and pinch something, I think, in his back. So I was not there while he was setting up at the venue, and then he got injured, had to go back to the hotel, and I never saw him again. So
you'll be seeing his workman's comp come across your desk.
Yeah, good thing we got insurance. But my buddy Rob G, he actually came down and showed up, and all the guys were super excited to see him, which was really cool. He just, he had such a great year this year and was on TV all the time. So
yeah,
I actually asked the anglers during registration who their favorite angler was, and a lot of them put Rob just because he's an awesome guy. So as soon as he walked in the room, he just got encircled by guys. Steve Kennedy came by. And because he's an Auburn guy, lives here too. So it was really cool, and that's the second year that he's came to the tournament. So super thankful for Steve. And then actually our tournament director Todd Hollowell, he fished the FLW tour a few years back, and he was a great mentor for me growing up. I kind of met him through this mentorship program that he actually put on, and he taught me a lot about not necessarily just the bass fishing, the aspects of learning to fish, but the mental toughness and that all the mental things that are required to pursue fishing and to negotiate deals and things like that. And he was our tournament director. And if Todd wouldn't have stepped up and helped us this year, we grew so much from last year, and I handled it all last year. I don't think it would have been a success without Todd. He really handled business and helped us tremendously, and I'm super thankful for him. So it was really cool to have him there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Do you ever see any like guys like our age, like 40-year-olds that are on the college fishing teams?
I might next year if we give out another boat.
Yeah, you might. I might be registered for Auburn.
Trade fish for Harnett County Community College.
I got to go back and get my master's.
Yep. Yeah, man. Sorry about that technical difficulty we had here. So we'll kind of wrap this up. What you're putting on is this format was the big reason we reached out to you, because we're all about promoting, growing this culture and helping people out. We all know how the fishing world is. Like, it wants to be as tight-lipped as possible. We say we want to grow the industry, but we're mad when there's a lot of people on the lakes. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's like, but what you're doing is great for the youth in this country, and there's so many people that want to be in the position you're in right now. But I think it's important to promote education, promote like having backup plans. We've talked to a lot of kids that are like, I'm a fish the Elite Series. Well, I'm like, well, what are you going to do to make money? And they're like, I'm fishing the Elite Series. And I'm like, well, do you have a plan outside of just going after the elites? And not that it's bad, but like, you're going to go get your business degree? Like, what are you going to do? And they're like, no, I'm just going to go fish the opens. I'm like, I hope you make it, bro. Because like you said, like, it ain't easy. It ain't cheap. So doing what you guys are doing is absolutely extremely important. Any big new changes to the format or how you're running it, or expecting a bigger crowd next year?
Yeah, we're going to continue to improve the event. We've taken some feedback again from the anglers. hearing their thoughts on the end of the tournament, and just trying to constantly improve and create, the best, most, I guess, just the best format we possibly can for these anglers to learn and grow. And so one thing that I'd like to do, and if anyone listening knows of, an opportunity, please reach out to me at Logan Parks Fishing Foundation at gmail.com. But we're definitely very interested in adding another event to the season or changing locations.
Okay.
We really love the opportunities that we have at Auburn, and I think that we may always continue to have the big main event in Auburn just because of how great they've been to us. Like the Auburn Opelika Tourism is fantastic to work with. But, we want to expand and continue to grow, and it may be 5 years down the road we have a whole tournament trail. I don't really know what things look like, what God has in store for us, but we definitely want to grow, and we have to create something similar to what we've done at Auburn, where we just really roll out the red carpet for these guys, treating them with some great food and some great venues. I mean, Auburn football stadium is top notch as far as venues. We're used to these college venues, like nothing against it, but some high school gym or Chamber of Commerce building. And we really need something comparable to the Auburn University campus if we were to move locations. So that's the tricky thing, is finding something that can provide a comparable experience without taking away from the event. So, I mean, I think that there's a few different places I've had in mind, but, we're open to anywhere if anyone has any suggestions. And, we want to give anglers the opportunity to come and fish that are maybe a little hesitant to travel as far to the southeast as they are to come to Auburn, whether that's north or west or whichever direction we go. We definitely want to continue to provide new and more opportunities for all the anglers.
Yeah, bring it to North Carolina. Let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, we'll poke around too and see if we can get you some contacts. And there's a lot of great venues all over the place, but you're absolutely right. Like if it's just that, nothing against the Chamber of Commerce building or whatever, or high school gym, but if it's as big as you made it, like you got to have something a little bit more stellar than that. So, and I think that's fair, but dude, I definitely appreciate it. I'll turn it over to Ben and Pete. You guys got any final thoughts, any final questions on anything?
No, I don't have anything. I appreciate you coming on, Logan. Before we do sign off and end this, I do want to give you an opportunity to shout out your sponsors, folks that make not only your tournament, the Nsane Tournament possible, but also, that make it possible for you to fish the elites. I know how important those partnerships are, and just giving you a chance to let folks know who they can support to help support you as well.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Fishing Chaos, they've stepped up in a major way. I actually ran into them at ICAST my freshman year of college. I had convinced a few of the Auburn guys, I'm like, we need to go to ICAST. And turns out there's a software company that is in fishing, and they're all Auburn grads. And we get the War Eagle down the row over there, and there's a booth, and they're all like, War Eagle, and it's the Fishing Chaos guys. And so one thing led to another. They sponsored the Auburn team. I told them I wanted to fish the Opens. They stepped up and title sponsored me to fish the Opens. Before we even won that U.S. Open in November, they agreed to sponsor me in like August of 2021, and we've worked together ever since. And I've got a really great relationship with all the guys at Fishing Chaos, and the unique tournament format of the catch, wave, photo, release with all the different rounds throughout the thing. Like it's almost it is impossible, but they make it work. So I'm super thankful for them and their ability to just create technology and software that goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do. Abu Garcia and Berkeley, they've been an awesome sponsor of mine. I've used Abu Garcia products ever since I got into fishing, and they stepped up when this idea was just an idea on paper last year of putting on this tournament. They're like, we want to be the title sponsor of that. We want to support these high school and college guys. And they came back again this year and supported it again. So I'm super grateful for them. And then Bass Pro Shops, Nitro Boats, they stepped up in such a huge way, actually allowing me to give away my Nitro boat for the entire season that I used my rookie year at this event. And if any BPT people are listening and they want to figure out how to get people to the weigh-in, you just give away a boat at the weigh-in. But
imagine that would draw some folks. Yeah.
All jokes aside, man, it was really awesome to give away my boat and see that opportunity that.
Oh no. We're good for 5 seconds. So Nitro Boat's been a huge supporter of you, man. Anyone else you want to shout out?
Yeah, dude. Morris J Bridge Company. They've stepped up in a huge way, helping me personally. And they this is the second year they sponsored the tournament, as well as Lynch Toyota of Auburn. They've been a huge sponsor for my own personal Fishing the Elite Series, as well as sponsoring and supporting these guys. And actually, Toyota stepped up this year through dynamic sponsorships and put on or gave us a sponsorship for the event. So we're super grateful for all those partners. Couldn't do anything that I them, and I'm just excited to continue to grow the event. If anyone's interested in fishing or wants to learn more about the event, check out our social media page on Instagram, Logan Parks Fishing Foundation. Go to LoganParksFishingFoundation.com and go to my personal YouTube, Logan Parks Fishing, and look up the Nsane Tournament. I think it's titled "I Gave Away My $150,000 Boat," and the video explains how the tournament worked, and it creates a documentary of the whole process. It's a super awesome video. Jack, he worked really hard on it and created a great video that captures the whole event. So definitely recommend watching that, learning how it works. It goes through the whole event from start to finish, and it's a really good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, you're definitely the epitome of what we talk about when we talk about growing the sport and shaping the future, which we're all going to get replaced by eventually, right? And it's really important. When it comes to us as a show, man, we're always promoting this stuff. We're going to share all of these social media handles and all these links and things like that you have. And we'll promote it on our end down here. We got a lot of North Carolina anglers, I think, that made their way up there or made their way down there, I guess, and fished with you. So we just really appreciate you taking the time, jump on, talk about all the initiatives that you got going on. We're looking forward to your 2025 season. I know it's going to be a heck of a run. I don't know if he froze again, but
it sure looks like it.
Yeah, the internet's dropping. So no. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, man, we really appreciate it. And we'll get a hold of you a little bit later this week, guys. You got anything?
No, just hang out for 1 minute when we're done.
Yep.
We're gonna wrap this one up. Appreciate everybody listening. Make sure you check out all of Logan's stuff in the links down below. And we'll definitely want to get you back on to talk about the mental toughness and stuff, because that's something we talk about a lot and how important that is in fishing. And it sounds like you had a really good mentor and have a great grip on that. So we'll look forward to talking with you again. Hopefully we'll see you when you're over here in North Carolina. And we appreciate everything you're doing for fishing and helping grow a culture of anglers, helping Anglers OneCast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.